What's going on guys, Shiny Sorlo here, back with another video. In today's video I'd like to talk about the possible history of monsters. With that being said, let's begin. In the very beginning of Undertale something always threw me off: why are monsters considered a race rather than species? I'll be honest when I say this, I don't think any answer to this question would satisfy me, and the truth behind it is most likely Toby not thinking too hard into things. However, I do believe I have uncovered the answer. However, before I say that immediately, I'll explore some things within Undertale's world. Monsters are very interesting creatures. They come in many different shapes and sizes, and yet they share some common attributes among one another. Every monster has a white soul that is visualized as an upside-down white heart. Upon death, monsters will fade to dust. A monster's body is made of magic. Monsters express themselves using magic, and monsters are weaker than humans. There is also a subgroup of monsters called boss monsters. These monsters have a few special quirks that other monsters simply don't. Their souls linger for a few moments after death. Boss monsters have a type of immortality based on two factors. The boss monster doesn't have a child, or if they do have a child, they are immortal until the child grows to be the same age as their parent. In this case, the boss monster will age and their offspring will stop. That's all with monsters for now. Moving on. The common misconception with humanity in Undertale is that humans don't have magic. However, this is not the full truth. Long ago, at the end of the war, 7 powerful human wizards cast a magic spell to create a barrier that would take the power of 7 human souls to destroy. One of the most powerful abilities that humans have is a power we call determination. While monsters do contain some determination, humans carry a lot of it. This determination allows the ability to save and reset. However, this is only able to be used by the most determined being of the world. Human souls can be multiple colors: cyan, orange, blue, purple, green, yellow, and red. However, these colors seem to correspond to a trait: patience, bravery, integrity, perseverance, kindness, justice. While the red soul doesn't have a confirmed soul trait, it is widely in belief it's determination or love. It is unclear how long a human soul can persist after death. However, it is likely that they either last just as long or longer than boss monster souls. With all of that being said, I believe it is safe to say that humans and monsters are more different than they are similar. However, now that I've talked about their abilities and differences, let's talk about some actual monster history, that being the human-monster war. For this segment I'll be using the waterfall story and exactly how it's written.
The War of Humans and Monsters. Why did the humans attack? Indeed, it seemed they had nothing to fear. Humans are unbelievably strong. It would take the soul of nearly every monster just to equal the power of one single human soul. But humans have one weakness. Ironically, it is the strength of their soul. Its power allows it to persist outside the human body, even after death. If a monster defeats a human, they can take its soul. A monster with a human soul. A horrible beast with unimaginable power. The power to take their souls. This is the power that the humans feared. This power has no counter. Indeed, a human cannot take a monster's soul. When a monster dies, its soul disappears. And an incredible power would be needed to take the soul of a living monster. There is only one exception. The soul of a special species of monster called a boss monster. A boss monster's soul is strong enough to persist after death. If only for a few moments. A human could absorb this soul. But this has never happened. And now it never will. The humans, afraid of our power, declared war on us. They attacked suddenly, and without mercy. In the end, it could hardly be called a war. United, the humans were too powerful, and us monsters, too weak. Not a single soul was taken, and countless monsters were turned to dust. Hurt, beaten, and fearful for our lives, we surrendered to the humans. 7 of their greatest magicians sealed us underground with a magic spell. Anything can enter through the seal, but only beings with a powerful soul can leave. There is only one way to reverse this spell. If a huge power, equivalent to 7 human souls, attacks the barrier, it will be destroyed. But this cursed place has no entrances or exits. There is no way a human could come here. We will remain trapped down here forever. However, there is a prophecy. The angel, the one who has seen the surface, they will return, and the underground will go empty.
Obviously, this perspective of the story is from the monsters, and could have definitely been altered to make their story more favorable. Assuming most of the information is generally correct, however, does lead me to wonder some questions. How did humans know that monsters could absorb human souls to become stronger? Were the humans aware that boss monster souls could persist after death? Why are monster souls upside down and colorless version of what a human soul looks like? As we know, humanity knew how to use magic, and they may not have expressed themselves in it. It was most certainly powerful. What I am proposing is that humanity created monsters. After all, monsters are made of magic. Monsters do have some strange traits that are almost human, but not quite, such as heart-shaped souls, magic, boss monsters being able to persist after death, and probably more that I haven't mentioned. It is almost like humans were trying to figure out a way to create life by alternative means, and though I can't prove this part, I believe humans were always aware of what monsters were capable of. The reason why they do such a thing, however, is because humans get curious and like to mess with things they don't fully understand, and this curiosity led them to creating monsters. It was only until way later, when there were too many of them, where it practically equaled in power to a singular human, where it became an issue. If they were always aware of their creation's abilities, then it makes sense they'd have to deal with the issue if ever deemed a threat. However, humans still had emotional attachments to these monsters, and didn't want to kill them. According to Gerson's dialogue at the end of the Undertale anniversary stream, monsters and humans were in relationships, so I don't find it all that impossible to believe that in an act of morality they chose imprisoning instead of genocide. Though why don't all monsters persist after death similar to humans? I think it's rather simple. It is likely boss monsters were made first, and thus they used more power to make the monsters, but as time went on they used less of their power to make the monsters, which led to them having weaker souls. I know the ending part of this theory was mostly speculation, but I don't think that takes away from the point. I just thought it'd be fun to add more story rather than just only say the evidence. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have more theory videos planned, and if you want to stay updated for when they come out, consider subscribing and joining my server. With all said and done, see you next time.